Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown, is the women's basketball team back on track? And just how far can the men's basketball team go this season? Plus, women's basketball sophomore Erin McClure joins us live. You won't want to miss it. This is Bobcat Breakdown. Hello everyone and welcome to a special Valentine's Day edition of Bobcat Breakdown. Call your mother, call your significant other, and tell her you love her. I'm Nicholas Clone, joined by the QBSN Chairman Connor Fortier and Q30 General Manager Andrew Badillo. Fellas, you feeling the love in the air tonight?
Of course I do, man. It's Valentine's Day. I've been eating Russell Stovers all day. I'm feeling it.
Feeling the love for you two guys tonight.
Well, no love lost for the women's basketball team as they rebounded after dropping 2 straight against Iona and Fairfield. Since then, Quinnipiac has taken care of business against Monmouth, Marist, and Siena. Connor, first one coming your way. Are the Bobcats back on track?
See, I think they are. This is a team that's the best in the MAC. Yes, they've had a rough slide as of late, but they're still 7-3 in their last 10 games. Those 3 games, Monmouth, the head scratcher, that's kind of the worst loss and all that. But this is still the best team in the MAC. I think they are unbelievably good. Have they been streaky lately? Yes. But I think if they're able to finish off the rest of the season kind of on back, with they got 4 games left against mediocre opponents, go right back into the MAC playoffs, excuse me, I think they should be able to pick it up there since that streaky start.
Andrew, what are we thinking?
Yeah, Connor, I mean, guys, I agree that they're back on track, but what it comes down to with this women's basketball team is that they expect to win. They completely expect to win the MAC championship, avenge its horrible loss against Iona last year, and get back to the NCAA tournament. Because let's be quite honest, guys, this team fully expects to get to the Sweet 16, win an NCAA tournament game, and then get to the Sweet 16. That is the goal for Trisha Fabry's squad. She has said it before. This team has pedigree, they have experience, and that is really where they sort of see themselves going in the future of the season.
Yeah, people who call this kind of a streaky type of team right now, I don't see it. They still beat Ryder, who they are tied with for first place 13-3, 79-53 in that stretch of those 10 games where they lost those 3 and those 2 in a row. I think they're back on track, and I think they're set poised for a good playoff run here in the MAC.
Are they able to win an NCAA game?
I think so. I think this team is able to win an NCAA game.
I think that just before we move on, I think the magnitude of the 2 straight losses to Iona and Fairfield sort of shook everything up, and that's why we're even talking about this right now.
Good teams go through adversity in the regular season. That's what it is.
Totally, and then you just saw they rattled off 3 huge wins, especially the win against Marist. That's huge. I mean, Brian Georges obviously knows how to prepare extremely well to face teams in the MAC. He's an incredible coach. He's got probably the most legendary coach in the MAC's history. So, I mean, for Quinnipiac to rattle off 3 straight wins, all signs are pointing that they are back.
And aiding in that success is sophomore Erin McClure, and she's coming off a phenomenal week that earned her MAC Player of the Week after back-to-back games with 16 and 21 points, respectively. Andrew, is McClure the Bobcats' go-to scorer?
So she's not the go-to scorer, but at the same time, I don't think there is a definite go-to scorer for this team. Trisha Fabry throughout the year since 4 or 5 years ago, has run the Gold Rush. They have used it sporadically over the past few years. It hasn't been sort of the unit that she used, let's say 4 years ago when she had Felicia Barron and Boo Abshire running those 2 units. Felicia Barron was the backup unit, Felicia Barron was the starting unit, Boo Abshire was the backup unit. You've seen that sporadically, but you look up and down the roster, you got players averaging 12 points, 10 points, 8 points, 7 points. McClure is one of those players averaging in single digits. So she's not the go-to scorer. She's had 2 fantastic games in a row. McClure she had a huge game against Siena, scoring 21 points, and against Marist, scoring 16 points. So she's one of the hotter players now, but I don't think she is a go-to scorer.
Connor, what are you thinking?
I agree with Andrew. I think the way they play and the style that they play, they don't really need a go-to scorer. Now, if it comes to playoff time and they obviously can't run the Gold Rush anymore, if they need a go-to scorer, I think it's Jen Fay. She has the best shooting percentage on the team, all that while taking the 4th most shots on the team. So you usually see best shooting percentage, they must take a lot of shots. She takes the 4th most, all that while averaging the most on the team. If they do need a go-to scorer, I think it's Jen Fay over McClure.
So,
go ahead.
Before that, I think it's Martucci, who would be my go-to scorer. Once again, she's been part of 2 NCAA tournament teams. She has she's probably the best leadership piece that they have. She's versatile, she's an excellent shooter, and she's a very good cutter to the basket. McClure, going back to McClure, she has no three-point shot. That's my argument against that. But again, with Faye, I can't argue against that. I think that if you go down the stretch and you need a big basket, I would go to Martucci just because of that leadership presence, but Faye has been shooting ball tremendous this year.
Very, very disciplined team. We'll see how they make out. But now we'll jump over live to the Piazza where our very own Josh Silverman is joined by the reigning MAC Player of the Week, Aaron McClure. Josh?
Are you an A-block or B-block? A-block. I'm here with Quinnipiac sophomore Aaron McClure. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So let's start off. You just recorded 21 points against Siena. You earned your MAC Player of the Week award. What makes you so difficult to guard?
I wouldn't say I'm difficult to guard. I would just say I take the shot when open, and I kind of just play with a type of intensity that you really can't sometimes match.
Are you working on anything differently this year?
I would say I'm having more confident in shooting the ball.
And you've been working on your three-pointers?
Sometimes during practice, I hit a few.
So the Bobcats, you guys had lost 2 games. Now you've won 3 in a row. Iona comes to town Friday. Are the Bobcats officially back on track?
Yes, we are. We're ready for Iona.
And the loss of Brittany Johnson really hurt you guys. You lost the Monmouth game right after she went down. Have you guys been able to find your groove after that?
It was hard losing Brittany, but I think with we kind of eliminated the 5 in 5 out and had like a set 5, so I think that put more of people in like a rhythm to be comfortable throughout the game.
And so you moved away from the Gold Rush. How has that helped you play a more complete game?
I feel like I am more comfortable with the people I play with, and it's more consistent now, and I also have more of a flow throughout the game.
So I mentioned before, Iona comes here Friday night at 5 o'clock. Iona beat you guys early in the year. Is this a revenge game for you?
It is. They beat us in a chip last year, and they beat us early in the season, so we need to get it back.
And then last question, is this team NCAA tournament bound?
Yes, you know it. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much for joining me. Aaron, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Josh. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, these two will tell us which player they would bring back from last year's men's ice hockey team to help this year's team be successful. Stick around.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
And welcome into Studio 125.
So what?
So what? If you score 40 points in a basketball game, we all know you play Quinnipiac intramurals. We all know you love to shoot the rock.
Well, if you think that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, what I'm about to say, I guess, is going to be pretty ridiculous in your book. But I'm going to say yes, there is a controversy. I'm
line, getting ready to punch the ball as it lands right in front of another Monmouth player.
It's 9:30 Eastern, and you know what that means. Sports Pause is on the air.
Ball played up the middle. Emmanuel with a little cheat off the play. Preseason just boils down to going after another national championship and not necessarily focusing on the one before.
MJ, it is time for our favorite part of the show. It's the top 5 plays of the week, brought to you by B&D Deli, home of the Q-Dog.
Let's talk about the first play you want to break down.
Yeah, let's break it down right away.
But the one name I'm going to throw out there is a freshman, Mika Maples.
All this and more.
Coming up on the Q30 Newscast.
Hello, Quinnipiac hockey fans, and welcome to the Neutral Zone.
Definitely St. Lawrence, and I think you're going to see the test coming up real soon.
They might be having a bit of an adjustment issue without that CBS line, but don't count them out.
At High Point Solutions Arena in Game 2 of Quinnipiac vs. Northeastern Series.
Thanks for sticking with us here on Bobcat Breakdown. So last season, Rand Pecknold's team went on a historic run, picking up 32 wins en route to the Frozen Four. The team would eventually fall in the national championship 5-1 to North Dakota. After losing several key players to either graduation or pursuing NHL careers, the team has struggled to find the same level of play from last season. So guys, let's play some Ultimate Team. If you could bring back one player from last year's squad, who would it be?
I mean, I'll go first. I think it's Michael Gartig. I think the play of the goaltenders on this squad is a little bit different than last year's, mainly because they have two goaltenders. Last year, Michael Gartig played every single game. This year, you have Truel playing 20, Shortridge playing 16. That does a lot of psyche, I think, for a hockey team, switching goalies in and out every night. They don't know which one is going to play. Gartig's numbers were outstanding last year, sporting a 1.91 goals against average, .924 save percentage. You really can't make up those numbers. I think what they tried maybe doing is making them up between two players, and it just really hasn't worked out. He's a tough loss for this team. I think coming into this year, I was thinking he will be the biggest loss, depending on what the goaltenders do and looking at where they are right now, outside of the top 20 in the nation on the USCHO poll. I think it is the biggest loss for this team. I would bring him back.
So I don't disagree that Gartig would be a tremendous addition to this team, of course. The team lost so many big pieces last year. They lost a lot on offense. They lost Devon Toews on defense, who would be the player that I would bring back, Connor. And not only from what he did for the Bobcats last year, but if you look at how he's transitioned to the next level, the AHL, he has been an absolute force for the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. He's been second in points at the AHL level. He won the AHL's fastest skater competition. I know that really doesn't have anything to do with his production on the ice, but he has just been a tremendous asset to that team at the AHL level. Just seeing his tremendous growth only shows that he is going to continue to improve. He was such an important part to that team last year. Plus 27, 30 points, 7 goals, 23 assists. He made everyone better. He was the fastest player on the Bobcats last year. Really caused problems for any opponent that Quinnipiac played. So I think it would be Devon Toews.
But Andrew, I'm going to interrupt you, or as you were finishing that statement, I should say, what is the best part of this current team right now?
I would say probably if you had to pick something, it would be maybe defense.
It would be the
defense.
But
it would be the production on defense from the players, not the actual defense.
The production of Prisky and Clifton may have taken a drop, but Brogan Rafferty steps in. He has been kind of like a poor man Devon's teams. He's a dynamic defenseman. He likes to bring the puck up. He can start from their back end like I know their system likes to do. I think Rafferty kind of subbed in for Devon Toews, and as his tenure goes on here, I really think he could fill in that Toews role. This is the best part of the team, is their defense. Their goaltending is one that struggled. Combined with Shortridge and Truel, they have a 900 save percentage. That's 900 save percentage, 2.61 goals against. Those numbers significantly down from last year, whereas the defense, you could say, Connor Clifton, Chase Prisky, they can't really repeat how great of a years they did have last year. Still good years this year, but Rafferty stepped right in with Toews' role.
I don't disagree with either of you. Goaltending was obviously going to be a huge talking point at the beginning of this season, and Devon Toews has been obviously an anchor since the jump, but how do you not go with Sam Annis, just absolute wonder kid? You dump him the ball, he's going to do magical things. We'll move on, though. With spring sports right around the corner, the men's lacrosse preseason poll picked Quinnipiac to repeat as MAC champions. Sophomore Foster Cuomo was also selected as the preseason co-player of the year, and I had the chance to catch up with him to reflect on last year's success and preview the upcoming season.
One of the things that the coaches kind of said when I was getting recruited here is that we're gonna do some big things that first year, and they weren't lying.
For sophomore sensation Foster Cuomo, putting the team on his back is just another day's work. The Canadian-born former IMG Academy standout has been tearing up the MAC conference ever since he made his move to Quinnipiac. He was given his opportunity and hasn't looked back since.
I came in with the mindset of just trying to contribute as much as I could, and near the end of the season I got put into that role where I was able to contribute more with points, goals, and assists. And moving forward, I felt comfortable in that position, comfortable with the guys I was working with. So overall, I think it was just it was the right time and the right place.
During his freshman campaign, he recorded 22 goals, 11 assists, and finished third on the team in points. He was just recently named the MAC preseason co-player of the year after helping his team capture 6 straight wins to grab the MAC regular season title.
Leading into those conference games, we were really feeling confident with our play and our systems. So I think it was just team chemistry, talking amongst each other and with our coaches and kind of figuring out that niche and how we're playing, and it really stuck with the conference play.
Quinnipiac hosted the postseason tournament, cruising past the reigning champs Marist to secure the team's first ever NCAA tournament berth. The Bobcats are projected to repeat as champions this year, despite losing several key players from last year's squad.
Even last year, there were so many guys ready to fill roles. Yeah, we got Kevin Deal, Drew D'Antonio, Anthony Carcietta, the list goes on. And all these players, this year they're ready to step up and fill those big roles. And we can just see that in this past Harvard scrimmage. We were playing up to their level, and it was looking really good coming into Brown.
Quinnipiac will face Brown University in its season opener, and you can expect more of the same from number 9.
My goal is just to contribute as much as I can, whether it's goals, assists, or just drawing that slide, making that extra pass. Anything I can do to free up another player, just help our team win is my goal in the end.
For Q30, Nicholas Colon. Guys, Foster Cuomo, absolute beast. Great kid to talk to. Very humble. He's going to be a great person to look out for this season for the men's lacrosse team. They're going to be very good. They're picked to win the MAC championship again this season. They have Brian Feldman back. Jack Brust is in goal. Do you think that they're going to be just as successful as they were last season?
Yeah, why not? I mean, Brust is going to be the rock for them. I think that he's going to be the ultimate deciding factor. Foster Cuomo came on so strong in the playoffs for Quinnipiac, and actually Monmouth is a team that could give Quinnipiac a run for their money. They beat a ranked team. I think they beat Villanova actually this past weekend. So Monmouth definitely is going to be a team to challenge Quinnipiac this year, but I don't see why Quinnipiac can at least get back to the MAC championship.
Yeah, usually, Andrew, I don't like agreeing with you, but I'm going to exactly agree with you. I think when they were picked first in the preseason poll, I saw that coming. Brust coming back is really it for me. He's the backbone of that defense. He was so solid in net last year. I think a lot of the reason for this success. So when I saw he was coming back, I saw the number 1 pick coming up, or the number 1 selection, I guess you're saying, in the preseason coming up, and I do expect a big year for this team again, just like they had last year.
Yeah, they lost a very good team in Maryland last season, number 1 seed as we mentioned before. They do have Brown and Princeton on their non-conference schedule again, and just important to note that as with many spring sports teams, they won't be able to play at home. They'll be playing at Yale all their home games, so they won't really have any true home games. I asked him if that would really plague him at all. He said he doesn't think so. So we'll look out for the men's lacrosse team this season. When we come back, Andrew and Connor will break down the men's basketball team's chances in the MAC tournament, and I will present the winner of the show with a rose. Stay with us.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
And welcome into Studio 125.
So what? If you score 40 points in a basketball game, we all know you play Quinnipiac intramurals. We all know you love to shoot the rock.
Well, if you think that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, what I'm about to say, I guess, is going to be pretty ridiculous in your book. But I'm going to say yes, there is a controversy.
I'm getting ready to punch the ball as it lands right in front of another Monmouth player.
It's 9:30 Eastern, and you know what that means. Sports Pause is on the air.
Left ball played up the middle. Emmanuel with a little cheat off the pipe.
Preseason just boils down to going after another national championship and not necessarily focusing on the one before.
MJ, it is time for our favorite part of the show. It's the top 5 plays of the week, brought to you by B&D Deli, home of the Q-Dog.
Let's talk about the first play you want to break down.
Yeah, let's break it down right away.
But the one name I'm going to throw out there is a freshman, Mika Maples.
Coming up, and hashtag that.
We are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
Hello, Quinnipiac hockey fans, and welcome to the Neutral Zone.
Definitely St. Lawrence, and I think you're going to see the test coming up real soon.
They might be having a bit of an adjustment issue without that CBS line, but don't count them out.
At High Point Solutions Arena in Game 2 of Quinnipiac vs. Northeastern Series.
Thanks for staying with us. The 10-16 men's basketball team is fighting for a first-round bye in the MAC tournament, but have dropped a couple games against top opponents. Andrew, what do you think the ceiling is for this team come playoffs for Tom Moore's squad?
Is a hard concrete ceiling at the 5th seed, and let me tell you guys why. This team has been phenomenal all season offensively. 76.6 points per game, that's 4th in the MAC. That's a huge upgrade from last year's team. However, they have been allowing 81.7 points per game, which is 11th in the conference. And in case you guys don't know, that there's 11 teams in the MAC, so they're in last place. You're not going to be able to win any games against the top teams in the MAC if you're giving up 81.7 points 0.7 points per game, and you're only scoring 76. It's just not how it works, especially with a team that is young and doesn't have a lot of winning pedigree on it. That is something that Tom Moore said in the beginning of the season. He doesn't really have a piece on this team, a player that can sort of go in the locker room, rally the troops, and get everyone to listen and buy into the culture. It has to come more from the coaching staff. You could argue either way, whether it should come from the coaching staff or it should come from players on the team. But guys, the matter of the fact is that there aren't many leadership pieces on that team, and that's fine because they are so young and they have a long way to go. But that just for this season, I don't think that they can get any higher than number 5.
Yeah, I was going to say around 5 or 6, but I could also really realistically see him staying there at 8. The loss of Donovan Smith was crucial for this team. He was a big presence down low, and I think something like that could really hurt this team. They're very top-heavy in scoring, and getting a presence down low like that and losing that definitely hurts the team. He was a senior. He was a transfer, but he was a senior still. That would be some voice in the locker room, like you were saying, Andrew. But a loss like that really, I think, holds him either that 8th spot or maybe up to the 6th spot. 5th spot, I think, is a little too high, Andrew. Maybe they've been scoring a lot more, like you said, but if they maybe latch down the defense a little bit more, they have a chance of reaching that 5th spot. But I would put the 6th at the absolute best. I do agree with you. It's a concrete ceiling right there. I think if they're able to finish up in that 5th spot, they would really have to work hard and play hard the remaining of the regular season.
All right, so let me ask you, where do you actually think that they're going to be?
I think they'll end right here at 8th. I truly do. Yep. Okay. I think they've been streaky as of late, and they've definitely been playing a little bit better basketball, and I could just see them staying right there at 8th. Would it be exciting to see them go up to 5th? Then yes, because that would mean like I said, they would have played some amazing games coming up. But I realistically think they're in between 8 and 6 right here. But if I had to take a certain number, it'd be 8.
I'm an optimist, though. I mean, does that leave any room for an upset come playoffs? I mean, is it just a problem of them doing more homework? I know you mentioned Smith is going to be out. It could be obviously a talent thing as well, maybe the options that they have. But if they just do their homework, is there a chance that they can pull off an upset against any of these teams?
It could be. They have a good enough offense for it. If there's an upset, definitely could be there. They have to put themselves in a good position, though, when it comes down to that. Like you said, they're working for that first-round bye. They got to get it where the jury's still out on it. But this offense is good enough. Some team comes in cold one day and they play the game that they want to play. It's definitely there for the taking for them, if you want to put it in that perspective.
I disagree. I don't think come playoff time, I think the team is going to fold. I really do. I think that it's a long season for your top 2 scorers to be 2 true freshman point guards. I think it's a little bit too much to ask for. Chase Daniels is the 3rd leading scorer. He's a junior, but again, he missed most of last season. So you're really your highest point producer. That is I guess we'll say the player with the most experience is a guy who's only played for 2 years. So I really don't think if they run into a team like Iona or Siena, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, especially with Siena getting Nico Clarith back. It's going to be really, really tough.
See, but I'm going to use your argument against you here. You say they're a young team. They don't know if they have the voice in the locker room. A young team doesn't know really what it comes down to this, and that could be good. Ignorance could be good in this situation because simply, hey, they're going to play their game. They know they don't care about the history that happened before with an Iona or a Manhattan or anything in the MAC playoffs for that matter. They care about the team that they're playing on. They care about the game they're going to play. It could work in their advantage. I could definitely see something crazy happening with this team. Like I said, if a team comes into the gym a little cold, they have the offense to upset someone, I think.
The team is also to be proven to be had cases in the past. If they get down 10 points to St. Peter's, Monmouth, Iona, Siena, they're done.
Well, there you go. I mean, what is it that's holding them back? Is it a mental game or is it a physical game? I mean, even in seasons past, what has stopped them from reaching the upper echelon, of them cracking that, of them being a number 1 seed, of them reaching the NCAA tournament? What's been holding them back?
It's just been that one factor. We saw it 3 years ago, our freshman year, Umar Shannon getting hurt against Siena late in the year. That completely destroyed their chance of advancing any farther in the MAC tournament than they did. You saw they got exposed in that game against Manhattan. Manhattan put on a full court press. Kasim Chandler, a freshman at the time, had absolutely no chance against that press. Manhattan ran Quinnipiac out of the building. A few years ago, you saw Usman Drame and Zaid Hurst. I mean, you saw it. Zaid Hurst was really the guy all season. 30 points, 35 points. I think he even scored upwards of 40 points one game. He got worn out towards the end of the year. You only had Usman Drame and Zaid Hurst who were producing towards the end of the season for that team, and you saw where they finished. They were a mediocre team, and they lost in a surprising game in the first round of the MAC tournament against Marist.
I'm glad you kind of said that wearing out, because if we're asking what's holding this team's back, I'm going to say it's their lack of depth of scoring. They really have Mikey Dixon, Peter Kish, Chase Daniels. Those are their 3 scorers recently. Everyone else, Andrew Robertson, he may be able to get string in a game in there. Reggie Oliver may be able to string in a game in there. But consistently, they're only getting scoring from about 3 people, and it could work against them, like you said, Andrew. They could just get worn out by the end of it. You could play devil's advocate saying, well, if those 3 really put the team on their back, then they have the opportunity to do something special because those are dynamic scorers that this team has so far. But they are young. But if it was them holding the back, it's that lack of depth of scoring, but also their free throws. Their free throws, they haven't really been that good behind at the free throw line. 67% on the year. That is a glaring number, and if something really were to kill them in the end, it could be free throws.
I'm going to say it's their defense. I agree with you with the free throws, but when you're the worst defensive team in the MAC and you're as young as Quinnipiac is, that is just a recipe for disaster, especially, once again, when you have to go against teams with so much winning pedigree and experience, such as Monmouth and Iona. Quinnipiac won't make it very far in the MAC tournament with a defense like theirs.
Well, time will tell.
I don't want to jump too far into the future, but I know we have a lot of basketball still to be played, but if you were recruiting, if you were in charge of recruiting right now, what kind of player would you bring in? What kind of playmaker, or even the defensive end? What kind of player would you bring in to help this team, give them a boost?
You go first.
I would bring in as tall as you can find. Go way up north, see what type of person you can find up there. Maybe a big farm boy who could really body everyone down low. Be that defensive force, be a rim protector for this team. If they have that with dynamic scoring, they could be pretty impressive.
Sure, rebounding is down.
Long, athletic point guards. That's what you need. That is 100% what you need in the MAC. The MAC is a point guard heavy league. Get away from the rebounding, more scoring, long, athletic point guards. Put a full court press up. That's, I think, what Tom Moore and Eric and Coach Eaton and all the other coaches and the coaching staff need to recruit.
All right, well, thank God you guys aren't in charge. So let's move on to our Game of the Week segment. This week's Game of the Week is the women's basketball team taking on the Iona Gales on Friday at Lender Court. The Gales defeated the Bobcats back in January, 58-44, and these 2 teams have been on or near the top of the MAC for the past several years. Who do you guys think is coming out of this one on top? Connor, you go first.
I'm going to go with Quinnipiac. I said they needed to win these 4 games to right the ship. I already think they're doing a good job on it. Iona is the toughest opponent they have left. They're 4th in the MAC. After that, you have Manhattan 10th, Marist 6th, and Canisius, who's in 8th. So I think this team knows this is a big game. This is the game they need to win before they go back to the before they go to the playoffs, and I think they can show up. Coach Fabry, I think, would have them perfectly coached for that game. I think they know how big it is, and I expect them a Quinnipiac win on that.
Yeah, again, I mean, Quinnipiac knows, everyone knows what Quinnipiac's going to do going into the game. I do think Quinnipiac's going to come out on top. They're going to shoot you to death. They're going to, well, that's a tough play on words there, but they are going to shoot you out. They're going to completely outshoot you. They're going to toss up 20 more shots than the other team, but, and the coach of Iona, and Iona on defense knows that that's what's going to come. So yeah, essentially, I think Quinnipiac is going to take the game. I think they're going to run the table in the MAC and get to the MAC championship, where they could potentially play Iona in the MAC championship game.
Well, Andrew, just one more quick question right back to you. If there were any holes or any vulnerabilities in this team, what would it be?
It would be the fact that they could go cold from behind the arc, just in general shooting. That's what haunted them in the past.
Yeah.
Going cold. I mean, you saw it in the game against Iona and the game against Fairfield. They shot under 15% from the three-point line. They made 2 3-pointers against Iona in the last game. So if you go 2 for 19 from three-point range, you're going to lose every game.
But don't you think Coach Fabry is telling her team that? Don't you think she's going to say, this is a team that we've struggled against, not as much as recently, but in our history in the MAC? She definitely has his team ready. Like I said, they know exactly how big this game is. They know that people may be talking, they may be streaky, they may not be doing good. They're still 7-3, like I said, in their last 10. They know who their opponents are. They know this is their last speed bump. This is the last hurdle, I should say, to get over into the playoffs. And I think they're ready to go into the playoffs in this form.
Well, quickly, if they're cold, do you think Fabry's telling them not to shoot?
No, it's the strategy that they're going to go for. They're going to live and die by the three-pointer. From taking the first shot in the shot clock, the first good shot that they get. That is what they've completely, it's a strategy.
All right, well, today is Valentine's Day and a special edition, so our EP is coming over with the rose, and I'm going to pick who I think did a better job today. Connor, I really like your point about recruiting, bringing a lumberjack down, getting some big boards for the basketball team. But Andrew, you've had a lot of good points in this one. Connor, I think I'm going to give it to Andrew.
Hey, that's brutal.
Do
I get my limo now?
No. So we're
you got these for your girlfriend, right?
Yes, I did get it for my girlfriend. I think you should give it to yours instead.
Yeah. She's a little far, though.
That's true.
All right.
Well, we have no love lost between these two. So be sure to check us out at theqbsn.com and at q30television.com. For Connor and for Andrew, I'm Nicholas Cologne. Spread love.